Letecia Stauch would have you believe that she was a great mom and that some alternate personality killed Gannon. If Satan is the father of lies, then Letecia Stauch is the mother of lies. The evidence already proves her intent. And I'm going to suggest again, this was premeditated. First, let's deal with the idea that in an impulsive act of anger, she lashed out at him and killed him accidentally and then covered it up. The evidence shows clearly that is not the case. The evidence shows that she intended to cause his death. The medical examiner testified that the stab wounds came first. The defense asked if the pattern of the wounds was random. I think he was trying to set up an argument for a couple of things, or one of a couple of things. One is that because the pattern was random, that it wasn't targeted to major organs. The other is setting up the argument that it was a frenzied attack, that some psychotic alternate personality did this in some sort of frenzy. And that doesn't hold water either. You don't pick up a knife to use on any human being, let alone a child. Death was reasonably foreseeable at the very least. She chose to use a weapon. The weapon she chose was a lethal weapon. She stabbed his torso, head, back, and groin, all areas that could have caused death. She stabbed him at least 18 times. She stabbed him with such force that she fractured one of his ribs. One wound was 4 inches deep, and the blade went through his shoulder blade. You know how much force you have to use to make that happen? Even without everything else she did, it's obvious she was intending to cause death. Let's look at this idea that there was some psychotic alternate personality out of touch with reality in engaging in some frenzied attack. Frenzied does not mean psychotic. Frenzied doesn't mean you don't know it's wrong. A frenzied attack, does not prove the existence of another personality. And when the victim doesn't die, this personality who is supposedly out of touch with reality is able to stop and think and go get another more lethal weapon? How does that make sense? If the personality is so frenzied, how do they stop and rationalize? They don't. Because they don't exist. Letecia Stauch killed that little boy, and she intended to do so. She had already decided ahead of time what she wanted to do. She didn't want to take care of this child. She didn't want to take care of Al's kid or Al's ex's kid. She wanted to get rid of him. She chose her lethal weapon. And by the way, a knife is very personal. It's particularly vicious and cruel. And that's what she chose to use. She stabbed this little guy over and over. We know he fought for his life. He was covered in defensive wounds. I think the wound on his shoulder blade was from him squirming, trying to get away. And then when he didn't die, she went and got another weapon. And she bashed his head, inflicting multiple skull fractures. You know how hard you have to hit somebody to fracture their skull? And one of the other injuries with that was hemorrhaging in the brain. When he still doesn't die, she goes and chooses yet another weapon, another lethal weapon, a gun, and she shoots him in the face. There is no way there wasn't intention to cause death. No way. Let's talk about the drugs in Gannon's system. Some people think that maybe she drugged him to make it easier to kill him. I don't know, maybe. I think she's more cruel than that. I think that she was probably drugging him all along to sedate him because she didn't want to deal with him. The drugs found in his system were acetaminophen and hydrocodone. Hydrocodone is a narcotic and it is not prescribed to children. It's not meant for kids. One of the side effects of hydrocodone is sleepiness. And that would explain why she would choose to use that drug on him, because then he's tired and she doesn't have to actually deal with him and actually take care of him. You know what some of the other side effects are? Nausea, vomiting, and constipation. Now, we've already heard that Gannon, for some time, had frequently complained of all those symptoms. So for how long was she drugging him? And did she drug the little girl ever? And another potential side effect of that combination of drugs is death. The bottom line is she intentionally killed him. That was her intent. And when she wasn't being successful, she had the presence of mind to stop and go get another weapon. This woman is diabolical. She'll stop at nothing to get what she wants, even if the thing she wants is merely attention. She has faked so many things, even tried to get a fake polygraph report. So it's not a stretch to think that she would be faking mental illness to get out of a murder charge. Even if the defense somehow proves insanity, this woman cannot be let out into the community. There is so much evil here, a pattern through her whole personality. There is so much there that even if she had this disorder, and even if they got it under control, the rest of her character is so bad that she'd still pose a threat to the public if she's ever released.